Welcome back to AI for the Humanities. I'm Meghan McInnis-Domínguez, Associate Professor of Spanish at the University of Delaware, and this channel is your go-to resource for exploring the intersection of generative AI and humanities education. This semester, we're continuing our deep dive into AI tools and their implications for the humanities. Our focus this time will be on large language models, video and image generation tools, as well as translation software. We'll be discussing their benefits, challenges, ethical considerations, and how they can be practically applied in the classroom. Our mission remains the same: to critically assess how these tools interact with humanities education and, crucially, how the humanities can help shape the ethical and pedagogical future of AI. Today, we're sitting down with a new cohort of undergraduate interns who will be leading the way in exploring these tools. Each of them will specialize in a specific AI tool, creating video content and contributing to our growing guidebook, a resource for educators looking to integrate AI into their teaching practices. In this roundtable discussion, we'll talk about their initial thoughts on AI, the tools they will be working with, and what they hope to learn from this experience. Some of our interns are brand new to AI, while others have previous experience through coursework and internships. Their fresh insights, both hopeful and critical, will be key as we examine AI's role in the humanities. Let's get started by hearing from our interns. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video of AI for the Humanities. And I'm here, start of the spring semester, with my spring 2025 interns for the channel. And this is our first video where we introduce all of the interns and get to learn a little bit about what they know about AI, what they hope to learn, and then we'll do another video at the very end of the semester, and you can see what they have learned throughout the semester and what their thoughts are. So anyway, I'm Meghan McInnis-Domínguez. I'm Associate Professor of Spanish at the University of Delaware, and this channel is your go-to resource for the intersection of generative AI and humanities education. All right, so let's get started with the introductions. So Riley, why don't we start with you? So tell us about you, your major, what you know about AI, and what tool you're going to be exploring this semester.
Sure. So, hi, I'm Riley. I'm a three languages and English double major here at the University of Delaware. So, I'm studying Spanish, Chinese, and Korean language. I also have a little bit of background in linguistics, so I'm really excited to be studying language generative AI this semester. I'm studying Claude, which is a tool developed by the company Anthropic, and it is built off of a large language model and marketed as a personal assistant. So, I'm really excited to see what kind of capabilities I can figure out from Claude, where I can find the best uses out of it, maybe use it for myself even, but to report on all the capabilities that Anthropic is pushing for their users.
Great, thank you. Let's move on. Let's see here. Logan, can you tell us about you?
Yeah, hello. My name is Logan Elkins. I'm a junior media communications major, and for my AI tool of choice, I selected Grok, which is pretty much Elon Musk's answer to ChatGPT. It's featured on X, formerly known as Twitter. It's pretty much a LLM as well as ChatGPT, kind of like a rival, I would say. Um, does a lot of like the traditional like ask a question and it'll answer whatever, but it also has a lot of photo generative abilities as well. You can ask it to make any photo you want. So it's pretty endless in that regard. For this internship, I'm excited to learn more of the ins and outs of AI, maybe like how things kind of function internally. That interests me a lot, like how things are programmed and processed. Um, and additionally, I think ethically, AI has a lot of potential. And I think, as most things do, when things fall into the wrong hands, it can be used for wrongdoing, such as cheating on assignments and stuff like that. But hopefully, we can learn how to use AI for good and for not cheating purposes.
Good sentiment. Very, very good. Okay, Grace, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Grace Gulick. I'm a sophomore computer science major and art minor, and I have had some experience. I took some ethical computer science classes in the past, so I have some experience with the ethics involving AI, and I'm going to be researching Midjourney, and that is an AI image generator. And I'm really interested and looking forward to figuring out how to intersect AI and art and how to use AI in an ethical and artistic way.
Great. Celia.
Hello, my name is Amelia. I'm a junior Spanish studies major. I've used AI before in classes. I've had two classes where AI was not only encouraged, but it was part of the curriculum. I'm using it to understand Latin American literature, which I thought was really interesting. And this semester I am going to be doing research on Meta's llama models, which is another LLM. So generating text, translating languages, and just answering questions. I'm really excited to learn more about AI in general because I'm not a very tech savvy person or like very STEM overall. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, the intersection between AI and the humanities.
All right. Let's see here. Sarveen.
Hi, my name is Sarveen. I'm a sophomore, studying cognitive science right now. And the AI tool that I've been assigned is called Flux AI, which is like an image generator, which I'm super excited about because I've never used image AI like ever. I've only used like ChatGPT in terms of like my AI experience. Um, and I really want to learn from this internship, like not only how to use like not just an image generator, but like AI in general, like how to use it like functionally, but also like ethically, because that's definitely like a topic of conversation when it comes to AI. So yeah, I'm excited to learn about that.
So yeah, we'll be seeing a couple of different image generators, and some of the LLMs have image generation capabilities that we'll be able to discuss as well. It's pretty exciting. Elizabeth.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I am a master's student studying Spanish pedagogy. And for this semester, I am taking on ChatGPT, OpenAI, which is probably the more popularized large language model that most people are familiar with, but I guess not from a structural point of view and not as in depth as I hope to get. And as a future educator, I'm very interested in how teachers are using these tools. I'm interested in how we balance in the humanities, letting this tool enhance what we do while maintaining our integrity and making sure that it could never truly do what we do. I'm also very interested in how to protect ourselves with data keeping and the legality of all of that. So I'm excited for this semester.
So yes, we have students that are undergraduates, grad students, and some that are going to be doing some translation. So that'll be interesting. Catherine.
Catherine, and I am a sophomore public policy major with a Spanish minor. And the tool I'm going to be investigating is Google's Gemini, which is essentially Google's version of ChatGPT, can do most of the same things. So another LLM. So um, for the humanities, it does image generation. The right now I'm on the free version, so it's limited to um, no people, but it can do landscapes and animals and that sort of thing, as well as art. And then it does you ask a question and answers translation and sort of thing. So yeah, I don't have a lot of AI experience, but I'm interested in learning more, and I've been poking around, and it's a lot more capable than I had guessed on first glance. So it's going to be very interesting.
Gemini has had a lot of updates recently, and it was lagging behind in some ways. behind ChatGPT, but now it's really like it's been the year of Gemini so far. So we will see. Odalis, what are you going to be working on?
Hello, I'm Odalis. I am a senior. I'm a third language major, so I'm studying Spanish, Japanese, and French. I will be concentrating on translation tools, and I have a little bit of experience with ChatGPT and Box. Not that much, but I am very interested in what we'll be doing this semester.
Fantastic. Yes. Some of the students that have had experience with AI are using it, have been using it in my classes, and others as well. And it's very interesting to see how they have been using it. And some of the students have a science background where they've explored or used or programmed themselves. So lots of different perspectives. Khalees.
Hi, my name's Khalees. I'm a sports health major and I have a minor in disability studies. I have minimal experience with AI. I've only used it like probably a handful of times and I only used ChatGPT. The program I'm working with is Sonu or Sono. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it yet. But basically it seems to generate songs. So I can input prompts like to make a love song, a sad song, and then you can also input lyrics as well. I'm looking forward to learning more about that specific program and just AI in general. And looking forward to like working with it more and seeing the different facets of the tool.
Yes, I love using Suno in classes. It's a lot of fun. But there's a lot of issues that you can discuss there too with the same thing as the image generators with the large language models and copyright from, let's say, the New York Times that has sued OpenAI. Well, some journals are working with these models and are compensated. So these things are really evolving very quickly. So we'll just see how it goes. And let's see here. So let's see here. Asia.
Oh, yes. Hi. My name is Asia. I'm a junior criminal justice major with the minor in Arabic. I have had previous experience with AI. I'm in some of my classes with ChatGPT. And and the AI tool that I'm researching is Microsoft Copilot, which so far I've just tested out their voice component, which is very interesting to me. I'm so sorry. Um, and it's a software basically used for more hands-free work.
Yeah. So Copilot is, there's a lot to explore. And it's one of the models that our university is now supporting along with Gemini for use by faculty and students. So this is interesting to explore and see what use cases you can come up with. So what do you hope to learn? And you can just raise your hand. What do you want to learn, create, or accomplish during this semester? Besides learning more about your tools or what aspects about it, so I guess what are your hopes for the class? Does anybody want to get us started? Grace.
I personally really am interested in learning more about the ethics of art, and what is considered art and what is considered not art, um, or just like an image as compared to art. I don't really know a lot about what art critics say is ethical to use or as a medium. I'm interested to see how a digital medium um, pairs up in the ethical world. I'm also really interested in figuring out how to customize AI generated art and maybe build off of that. I think that's a definite possibility. Um, and I really want to learn how we can use AI generated art to fuel our own creativity.
Great goals, and hopefully we'll be able to accomplish them during the semester. Does anybody else have goals or hopes you'll learn Or yes, Asia.
Oh yes. This semester, after doing the homework assignments, on the website, that we were supposed to do the work on, I'm interested in learning about how to properly ask questions and develop my questions to receive more information from the AI sources, I would say, and how to properly cite it a little bit better.
We can definitely do that. Those are very good questions that we could explore a little bit more, maybe in our next week's class. Khalees.
To add on, I'm also curious as to like the copyright and ethics behind some of these AI tools. For instance, like my tool that works on creating songs, I did like an automatic message talking about copyright issues and like waiving the rights in regards to that. So I'm just curious how a tool like that affects producers or musicians or any artists, and if they're able to use it for songs, they use it for songs to credit the AI tool. Just curious in regards to that.
Oh, that's great. And that is something that you can look into when you're doing your research too, to see what people have said about it. And you'll see there's all kinds of opinions about it. From positive to artists who use it and some that absolutely are against it. And it just, it depends. So it's very interesting. Riley.
This is something I'd like to do with Claude, but also a strategy that I was thinking about using towards research. But I want to ask it about itself to learn about the different functions that it has, kind of how it processes internally, and what its main features are, because I'm thinking what better source to learn from than the chatbot itself. And a big focus that I want to use throughout the semester is the assistant aspect of Claude. Just because in my own experience with using AI in the past, I haven't really considered it for daily use or as a personal assistant beyond the technology than the software that I already use. So if I could do something like using it in, an assistive way to keep myself organized for one class but not another, and then compare what kind of use I can get out of it or how that helps with productivity, especially since that's the way it's being marketed, is something that I'd like to look into.
Yes. So that's one of the big things about large language models, is that they are supposed to make you more productive. And especially, I like this idea of keeping organized and finding ways just to maximize your time. So this is something that you'll have to, I like this idea of comparing two classes, one which where you use it to keep organized and one that you don't, and see how it goes. It's a bit of a learning curve, but after that, it'll be interesting to see. Elizabeth.
So that made me think about, I really want to investigate with ChatGPT a lot of the bias going on, which inevitably shows up with a lot of these tools that were trained from internet data or trained with human responses, humans who are a certain demographic. It is very interesting to me. I know we talked about last class how we've seen bias in image generating, racial bias, and gender bias. I'm also interested in the bias that's present when it collects information from the internet. For example, if I were asking it a question about its parent company, legal case, for example, would it protect the parent company, only present me with information that makes them look good, etc.? So that is something that I'm really interested in, kind of in the deeper neural networks of these products. What are the biases that exist, and how can we make sure that our information is still accurate when we're using them?
That is a really interesting use case for detecting bias in these systems. Yeah, you will have to report back. You should totally do that. And for next week, let us know what you find. Yes, there are some versions of ChatGPT that can access the web. There's a search, ChatGPT, there's a search engine that they've come up with too. So, and some of its models have access to that. Not all, but some do. So that would be something interesting to explore. Definitely. Does anybody else want to add anything? I think most people have already given us their opinion. Okay, so this leads us to a little bit more about the ethics. This is something a lot of you have already brought up. Um, so what do you know right now about bias in AI besides things that have been mentioned? If there's anything that we haven't discussed yet that you would like us to discuss or to bring up and explore this semester. And another thing we could think about is, how do you think AI impacts education, uh, society, cultural heritage, for example, or what ethical responsibilities do you think that AI developers and users have? These are things you can just think about. Um, and have you noticed any ethical concerns with AI in your own experience so far? Lots of questions. Grace.
Somebody mentioned something about multiple people mentioned biases in AI, and now that has me thinking about the image generation and how it's mostly outputting. When I ask for a person, it's mostly outputting a Caucasian female or male in most cases. Um, and I think that's very interesting. I think that definitely indicates a limited data set, and very not diverse data set. And that seems a pressing issue.
Very right about that. And this is a problem with it. So AI reflects bias in society, but AI can have its own biases too. So figuring out where one ends and one begins is a tricky undertaking. Riley.
I have specific concerns, not concerns, but I've always, I guess, been concerned about the ethical use of AI in an educational setting, mostly because with the explosion that the development of AI tools has been, there hasn't been really a lot of time for educational institutions or professors to kind of have like a groundwork of ethical expectations of their students. And even if there were to be ethical expectations, AI is such a powerful and diverse set of tools under that umbrella term that it's almost difficult to it will become difficult to track its use in for what's considered ethical or not. So that almost falls onto AI developers if there were to be like an educational version or a version of the product licensed to universities to be used by students. But
AI in educational settings and tools. There are now educational models that have been developed by let's say OpenAI. There's a chat edu. I know UD's been thinking about it, but I don't know if that's ever going to materialize. But the thing about the educational models that's interesting is that they usually, from what my understanding is, that they don't use the information that students input for training the model, that it remains local in that sense. And so it's more FERPA compliant and things like that. So these are all really interesting things. And then Boodlebox, which I know that something we're exploring this semester in my other class. It's a place where you can access different models. And it, once again, it does not use what the chats for training purposes, and can keep the results local as well, which is kind of interesting. So there are more and more options for educational experiences with AI, but it really depends on um, the I guess the type of model. But a lot of them are coming out with educational models. Um, but it's been a lot of, let's try to catch up and train people as quickly as possible, and not everybody's on board. Some people are. So a lot of universities have taken the stance that it's up to the individual professor to decide whether or not they want to incorporate it, but that all professors should tell students how, if it should be used in their class, then that should be stated. If they don't, then you just assume not to use it. But that's the general guidelines. And I know that it was a big change, sudden change, and it really did leave students and faculty a little blindsided about how to proceed. And guidelines are becoming clearer, but there's still a long way to go. That's for sure. I really appreciate the question or the comment, Riley. That was interesting. Are there other ethical, Amelia?
Something that I'm concerned about is the environmental impact caused by artificial intelligence. I know we talked about this like our first class, but it's like I didn't realize initially that training AI and like just using it on a day-to-day basis takes up so much energy and it consumes a lot of water. And so something that I would like to, take into account when researching is, how can maybe future AI models be more energy efficient, or how can we use AI efficiently ourselves? Like maybe, I was thinking like make one big prompt instead of having this back and forth with the AI so there can, be less time using it. I'm not sure. That's just something I was like thinking about.
Well, that's a really good thought. And as you use the tool and you get better at prompting, then it's interesting how that I never really thought about that, how that impacts the environmental footprint of the AI. That's really interesting. And this is something that everyone should be taking into consideration when they're thinking about their tool. And you could explore, there are stats about the environmental impacts of all the tools, something to look at, and can explore how maybe the newer models might be more efficient or less, depending on if they're a reasoning model and they're large, or if they're smaller, like a Flash model in Gemini. So it's interesting. This is a really good point to bring up. Anything else on ethics? I think we covered a lot. So we talked a little bit about this a second ago with the edu models. What should professors be telling their students about AI? What do you wish that you were learning in your classes? Like maybe that you don't know, or like this is interesting. I asked this of my class last semester and it's very different. Things have changed since then. I'm very curious to see what you think. This is a tough one. What do you wish you were learning about AI in your classes? Grace.
I definitely, back on the environmental impacts, I definitely wish I knew that sooner. That's something I never knew until I took a computer ethics class. I think that's something that should be made aware to students. I also think that, especially in the computer science department, that it should be made aware to students that ChatGPT and these AI tools are not good at coding at all. So I would definitely advise students to be very careful with that and to be maybe we should definitely teach students how to ask the right questions and not use AI as a crutch, but as a teaching assistant.
Agreed. Anything else that you guys would like to have been told? Do your professors talk to you about AI? That's a good question. Don't have to mention any names, please. But have your professors been telling you about AI and how you can or not use it? Odalis.
I was in a Japanese translation class, and at the beginning of class last year, we like sat down, like all the students and the professor, and decided what was okay to do with the AI and what was not okay to do with the AI. And then we like decided to follow through, like sign like a little contract to follow through with that during the semester. And then like if we did use AI for looking up certain words or like certain words in a context or a grammatical point that we didn't understand, we would write that down and then like add the link to it or like screenshot. So I thought that was helpful because it's useful bringing it up and then setting like those boundaries that we want to have in class and expectations.
That's a really cool idea. Yeah, that's fantastic. Um, it's a great model, and everyone takes ownership of kind of how it's used in class. I like that. Have most of your professors talked to you about it in some capacity? No? Yes? Depends? Well, we'll see at the end of the semester if you have suggestions for professors after we go through the semester. That'll be interesting to see. And so I guess we've already answered as well. What do you want to learn? Is there anything else that you'd like to learn that you haven't already mentioned? Well, I think that's it then. Well, I'm going to finish the recording now. Thank you all for your insightful comments. I really appreciate it, and I know that the viewers do as well. So stay tuned to hear more from these students. They're making their videos on their tools, and they'll be coming out in the next few weeks. So we look forward to hearing more from them in the future. Thank you all for tuning into this insightful discussion with our interns. Their perspectives on AI's potential and challenges in humanities education give us a clearer view of how we can responsibly integrate these tools into our teaching practices. As they've highlighted, preparing students to engage with AI critically and effectively is essential to the future of education. Throughout the semester, each intern will be sharing their expertise in AI through dedicated videos on specific tools and contributing to the comprehensive guidebook for humanities educators. We're excited to see how their research and experimentation evolve and what discussions emerge from this journey. Stay tuned for more updates, and as always, thank you for supporting AI for the humanities. Be sure to like, subscribe, share this video, and comment below with your thoughts on AI in education. Let's keep the conversation going.
Step into the future, shaping minds today. Generative tools helping us pave the way. Large language models, prompts, and endless lines. Exploring all together where tech and culture align. Interns at the table, fresh perspectives in their eyes. Some excited, some uncertain, asking how and why. Chatbots, translations, deep build GPT. Humanities and AI, a perfect harmony. Interns at the table, fresh perspectives in their eyes. Some excited, some uncertain, asking how and why. Chatbots, translations, deep build GPT. Humanities and AI, a perfect harmony. We're building bridges, human minds and AI. Ethical futures, questions we can't deny. Learning as we teach, teaching how to see. Shaping what AI can become responsibly. From tokens to context, guidebooks we create. Videos and lessons to innovate and educate. Bias, ethics, openness, questions we explore. Critical reflections to shape what AI's for. In the halls of knowledge, students lead the charge. Pedagogy evolving with models small and large. Conversations flowing, ideas intertwined. Blending generations with futures redesigned. Interns on a journey, sharing what they learn. Building bridges thoughtfully, now it's our turn. From concerns to hopes, our path clearly laid. Shaping tech with humanity, the future we have made. Interns and professors exploring side by side. AI meets humanities, a journey unified. Questions, conversations, the story never ends. AI for the humanities, let's keep this dialogue open. AI for the humanities, this journey never ends. This journey never ends. We're building bridges, human minds and AI. Ethical futures, questions we can't deny. Learning as we teach, teaching how to see. Shaping what AI can become responsibly. From tokens to context, guidebooks we create. Videos and lessons to innovate and educate. Bias, ethics, Wells of knowledge, students lead the charge. Pedagogy evolving with models small and large. Conversations flowing, ideas intertwined. Blending generations with futures redesigned. Interns on a journey, sharing what they learn. Building bridges thoughtfully, now it's our turn. From concerns to hopes, our path clearly laid. Shaping tech with humanity, the future we have made. Interns and professors exploring side by side. AI meets humanities, a journey unified.